Good noon, all of you. I hope all of you can see and hear me clearly. I am Nikita, you know me, and today we are going to talk about some verbal reasoning topic. Okay, so what is that topic? Statement assumptions. So, you know that you have a logical reasoning section, right, in MAHCET. In that, a part of your questions can be from verbal reasoning, meaning reasoning that relies on language, right? So that is why we will be practicing questions on statement assumptions, statement conclusions, course of action, etc., over a number of sessions. So today is the day for statement assumptions. Good afternoon, Sanil, Kinjal, the Wish Sailor, Bharti. Good afternoon. Right. So let's begin. Just a second. Let me just go to the slideshow. Yeah. So, first things first, before let's say I launch into questions, assumptions, what do you understand by the word? It could mean, I am not asking about what should be the definition according to, let's say, what we are going to study. What do you understand when I say the word assumption? Tell me. Good noon, Ashish, Neenat. Same here, Ashish. Great to see you here. Good noon, Chaya. So what do you understand by the word assumption? Good afternoon, Sony. Hello, sweetie. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Vineet. Hi, Richa. So, tell me, what are assumptions? What is your understanding of the word assumption? Hmm. Give me the meaning of this word. An unset premise. Okay, good, Ashish. Good. Okay, an opinion on something. Okay, but if I give my opinion on something, uh, why do you think that it is my assumption? That I have assumed it. Maybe my opinion is based on some solid facts and figures, and I'm not really assumed things there. So assumption is simply a supposition, something that you suppose, something that you believe to be the case, right? That is an assumption. That is the layperson definition of an assumption, right? Now, in the world of logic, because assumptions are supposed, they are in a way taken for granted. That is why they are never explicitly stated. Okay, so an assumption is something that you suppose, that you take for granted while making a statement, and that is why you don't explicitly state it while making that statement, right? So, something that we suppose, something that we believe to be true, something that we take for granted, and that is why we don't explicitly state it. It is unsaid, it is unstated, right, while making a particular statement. So when you're saying something, you do not state your assumptions there, right? Okay, मान लो, yes, good, Samik. That's a very precise definition. हमने मान लिया वो चीज, right? Okay. An unsaid premise that supports the conclusion. Yes, Ashish, what you are saying is absolutely correct for an argument. Today, however, we will look at statements and assumptions. We'll not look at full-fledged arguments. We'll look at, let's say, one single statement or a couple of statements which may not be full-fledged arguments. Now, something which we believe to be the case, correct, correct. It's a surmise, correct, Vicky. Not a prediction, really. No, predictions are in the nature of conclusions that you make, right? It's basically, it's your opinion. Your prediction is your opinion in a way. So no, not predictions. It's a basis for making an argument. Anshul, correct, in that sense you are right that an assumption forms the basis for my statement. It's the very foundation of my statement. So if it is the very foundation or the basis of my statement, an assumption, that means an assumption is necessary for the statement to hold true. That also means that if I negate the assumption. If I say that, okay, this assumption is incorrect, then the statement also becomes incorrect. Then the statement also loses its ground. The statement collapses right there. The statement stops making sense. So assumptions are necessary for the statement to be true, for the statement to hold true. Right? And if, let's say, the assumption is wrong, if I negate the assumption, if I say that the assumption is not true, then the statement also stops making sense. The statement also becomes, in a way, wrong, incorrect, loses its ground. Okay, so what do you have to keep in mind? Let's just a brief thing of what we have just discussed. Assumptions are always seen from the point of view of the person making the argument. Okay, always seen from the point of the person making the argument. Don't evaluate it on on, let's say, your experiences, your judgments. Step into the shoes of the person who has made the argument, who has made the statement. So, as I said, that we are dealing with statements today. So step into the shoes of the person who's made a particular statement, who has stated something explicitly, and then think from his or her perspective. What has he or she supposed, taken for granted? What does he or she believe to be true? Something that forms the basis of this statement, right? Then they are necessary as stated. And how can you again check in your questions whether a given assumption is implicit or not? Whether the assumption has indeed been made or not by the speaker of the statement. If you state the opposite of the assumption, if you negate the assumption, state the opposite of the assumption, in a way you are saying that the assumption is not true, then the statement will stop making sense. Right? That is how we look at the statement assumption questions. Okay. So, hello Ayush. Yes. So this is our question 1. The one statement is given to you. The statement says use durable borosilicate for heating and cooking in the microwave oven. Right? These are the assumptions of these are given to you as the assumptions. Okay, you have to tell me. Okay, so unfortunately A and B is missing. You have to tell me which of these assumptions is implicit in the statement. That means which of these assumptions have been made by the speaker of the statement, right? So is it one, is it two, is it both, is it neither, or what does this option mean? Either one or two? It means that if not this, then this. If not this, then this. Individually, neither of them are implicit. Neither of them is implicit. But if one is not implicit, then we can say that okay, then two can be implicit. If two is not implicit, then one can be implicit. That is the meaning of either. Right? So let's have a look at this question. Let's see what you say. Okay, Ashish says D. All right. Neenat says D. Sanil also says D. Shailesh D. Pratik D. Ash D. Saurabh says E. Either one or two. Okay. All right. So basically, most of you are saying D here. Is it? What about others? Okay. Let's have a look. So here, it's just a suggestion, or it's just something that one person is telling the other. Use durable borosilicate for heating and cooking in the microwave oven. Does this person say use only durable borosilicate, or nothing apart from borosilicate will work? No, right? The person does not say any such thing. So this one is not implicit. Borosilicate is the only material. This is not implicit because nothing about the other materials have been stated in my statement. And if nothing about other materials has been talked about, I can't say that it is the only material. Assumption 2. Using other materials such as plastic in the microwave is dangerous. Is it a necessary belief of the person making the statement? Step into the shoes of that person. This person just said use durable borosilicate for heating and cooking in the microwave oven. Does this person necessarily think that using other materials such as plastic in the microwave is dangerous? No, it may not be dangerous, but it may not be as effective as, let's say, durable borosilicate. It may not be as durable as, let's say, borosilicate. It may not be, it may not give as tasty food as borosilicate. Right. So there can be n number of reasons why this person is recommending the use of durable borosilicate. Right. So I cannot assume any reason on my own when no reason has been extended in the statement as such. Right. I can't assume this dangerous thing on my own. Nothing about other materials has been stated. So the lessons that you should take from this question is always stick to the statement. You have to operate within the ambit of the statement. The statement does not talk about other materials at all, right? So neither of these is implicit. D is the answer. This is not an either or situation. One of you marked D, well, one of you marked E, either one or two. Either or situation means, okay, let's test that. One is not implicit. So can I say if borosilicate is not the only material, then definitely the other material is dangerous. So I can't say that definitely the other material is dangerous. The other material may not be as effective as I told you earlier. Right? So I can't say that if this is not the case, then this has to be the case. Similarly, if I negate this, that okay, other material is not dangerous. Does that mean that borosilicate is the only material that can be used, that is used? If let's say the other material is not as dangerous, that definitely does not imply this. Okay. So the either or case also does not work here. So in these questions, just stick to the statement, understand the statement well, right? One of you mentioned A. Again, only I cannot say anything about only. I think three of you have marked A. Unless and until something about the other materials, unless and until it stated that nothing apart from durable borosilicate is going to work, I cannot say that it is the only material, right? Okay, perfect. So everybody has understood this, right? This was our first question. So now from the second question, we will stick to the statement, right? We will operate within the ambit of the statement. Yes. Okay, so B is what you've stated. All right, all of you are pretty sure about B, it seems, right? Newspapers, nothing about newspapers in particular has been mentioned in question 2, so not implicit. Creating panic among citizens can harm a nation, right? So we are saying by creating panic, the news harms the nation. So through this, by doing this, this is happening. Cause, effect. So that means, yes, this is an implicit assumption here that creating panic among citizens can actually harm a nation. Because if, again, how do I check it? In case, let's say this was a simple question, right? Now, if I come across a more complicated question, I simply negate this. If I say creating panic among citizens does not harm a nation, then in that case, I will not be able to make the statement. Some news harms the nation by creating panic among citizens. So absolutely correct. B is the answer. Good. So you seem to have got a hang of this. Right. Let's look at the third question. Okay. C is the first response that I've got, I believe. Okay, Neenad, Ayush, Swagat, Shubham, Ash. Acha, Shubham says A. All right. Ayush says C, which is both. Okay, okay. Bharti says A. All right. So quite a few of you are saying C. A couple of you have said A also. Right. Let's look at the second one then. People want to become good at English grammar and comprehension. Let's say people do not want to become good at English grammar and comprehension. Then would you include this part in an ad? Become experts at English grammar and comprehension. If people don't want to become good at it, then of course they won't probably want to become experts at it. Right? So people, if you mention something in an ad, what is the purpose of an ad? To attract your audience, right? To inform and attract your audience. So in case, let's say you think that people do not want to become good at English grammar and comprehension, you would not include this part in your ad as such, right? So two is indeed implicit, one is also implicit. This is a very basic essential assumption whenever anybody gives out an ad, whenever anyone gives out an advice also, right? Whenever you give an advice to someone, so your assumption is that the person will listen to the advice, right? So people will read the advertisement and respond. Absolutely correct, both are implicit, because if even if one of them isn't, if the person giving out the ad already believes that okay, the people will not read, then the person will not give out the ad, the person will explore some other alternative, right? So 1 and 2 both are implicit here, right? Samir, you can start with any of these. In fact, I think you should start with both together. Don't go for a step-by-step approach, right? Vocabulary will hardly take what, half an hour of your day maximum, right? Because let's say in case you are following a particular vocabulary book, that should take about 15 to 20 minutes. Plus, in case you're solving some questions also apart from it, again 10 to 15 minutes. So maximum, let's say 30-35 minutes of your time. So that's how much you need to allocate for vocabulary. For grammar, again, it depends on whether you're reading from a particular grammar book, whether you're just solving questions. So I think you can go for both of them simultaneously. They're not as very demanding. It's not like you'll go for vocabulary for the entire amount of time that you're preparing for vocabulary, right? Okay. C, all right, all right. So yes, this is C. Let's come to the next question. Question 4. Okay, let's see what you say. Okay. Kinjal says A. All right. So all of you are saying A. I was saying 100% A. Right. So this is from a previous year paper. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. This is actually a proverb, right? In the eyes of the beholder means the person actually looking at something. Beholder is when you behold something, you look at it. So this proverb actually means that yes, beauty is subjective. So only when a person believes that beauty is subjective, then only such a person can make this statement that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Right? Because if let's say this person does not believe this, if this person thinks that beauty is indeed objective, beauty is not subjective, then will the person make the statement that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder? No. In that case, this person would probably give out some criterion for measuring beauty if the person believes that it is something that's objective, universal, etc. So, first is definitely an assumption that is implicit. Nothing about ugliness has been stated. Okay, nothing stated about it in the statement, and that's why we cannot assume anything on our own. Right? We've done this question. Okay, okay. Uh, Okay, I think we did it in a statement conclusion session, if I'm not wrong. Okay, that's because this can also work as a conclusion. This can also work as a conclusion. So this might come as a surprise to you. Although assumptions and conclusions, they are two separate concepts. Don't confuse the two. They are two different concepts. How? Because assumptions are something that a person thinks of before making the statement. So it comes before, right? It comes before the statement. Conclusion is something that a reader derives after reading the statement. Conclusion is something that the reader derives, infers after reading the statement. So they are different. But sometimes there might be an overlap. There are certain questions where the statement works both as an assumption and as a conclusion. So when I say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, this can be concluded from it also that yes, beauty is subjective. Right? Beauty is subjective. This is something that you understand. This is the meaning of this proverb. So something that you understand from this proverb. But at the same time, it is also something that is necessary for the maker of the statement to believe in his or her heart, to suppose, to take for granted. Because without supposing this, the person will not be able to make this statement in the first place. Right? So this is that kind of a question. Criteria and criterion. Criterion is singular. Criteria is plural. Criterion is singular. Criteria is plural. Okay. So we should say what is the criterion, not what is the criteria. Okay. What are the criteria? Subjective and objective. Subjective is something that is that's not. I mean, something that varies from person to person. Something that can be biased. Something that's not measurable. Right. So varying from person to person, opinion based, not measurable. Okay. Objective, like you have objective questions which have one definite answer. One definite answer, something that's measurable, something that has one definite answer. That is objective, right? So I could say measurable or having one definite answer. Right, that is objective. Objective is unbiased, neutral. These are also factual. These are all synonyms of objective. Right? Okay. What is tautology? One of you has written tautology in the uh, chat box. What is tautology? Yes. Tautology is simply redundancy. It is a fancy word for redundancy. If I say that these two statements are, this particular word is tautologous here, that means it's redundant here, right? Tautology is redundancy. So, for instance, when people say we are discussing on this matter, on is redundant, right? We are discussing this matter. I ordered for a coffee. For is tautologous, redundant. I ordered a coffee. Okay. Now, the second one, Neeraj is asking, what if the second one said that beauty is hidden? Okay. Let's change this to beauty is hidden. Would this be implicit? Beauty is hidden. Would this be implicit? Yes. What do you say? Assumption 2. Is it implicit now? Yes or no? Yes or no? I'm seeking your responses. If let's say the assumption said beauty is hidden, would this be implicit? Ayush says yes. Rajiv says yes. Okay. Ayusha said yes twice. I am saying that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, right? That means it is subject to multiple interpretations depending on how a person views something. But beauty is hidden is still not implicit, not implicit. Okay. Why? Because nothing about whether it is visible or hidden has been mentioned. See, it is only, I can make this argument, no, only because it is visible can it be perceived by someone, right? Only because it is visible in the first place can it be understood by someone, interpreted by someone. So whether it is hidden or visible, that is not implicit here. When I say lies in the eyes of the beholder, that simply means that different person view different things as beautiful. Different persons find different things beautiful. What one person finds beautiful, the other may not. Right? So beauty is hidden? No. Beauty is subject to multiple interpretations? Yes. Right? Hidden, visible, that aspect has not really been discussed in my statement. It is still not implicit. Right? Good. Those who said no? All right. All right. Perfect. So this was our question 4. A good question, good discussion. I hope you understood what I was trying to say about assumptions and conclusions. Right? Now, coming to question 5. So, statement. For rent or sale of property, contact X, the best in business. Now, these are the two assumptions. Tell me which one is implicit. Okay, all right. A, okay. All right. Okay, okay. So, most of you, I mean, till now, all of you said A. So, X may not really be the best in business. This is something that's a conjecture, in the nature of a conjecture, in the nature of a conclusion, something that we are predicting on the basis of the statement, right? I am not saying that this conclusion is something that follows. I am not saying that this conclusion logically follows. I am just talking about the nature of this statement. This statement is not in the nature of an assumption. Because if a person himself believes that X may not really be the best in business, then will this person state this the best in the business? Right? You would have to be of an unsound mind to do that. Yes? So, 2 is definitely not implicit. 1. Where property is concerned, people prefer the best in business, because again this seems like a direct suggestion. For rent or sale of property, contact X, the best in business. So when would you give this suggestion to people? When people prefer the best in the business. If you know that people do not prefer the best in the business, would you give them such suggestions? Would you would you give out such ads if, let's say, this were an ad? No. So yes, absolutely correct. Those who said A is the answer indeed. No, it's not D, it's not C. We have eliminated the second one. Okay, Vineet, I hear you. Okay, I get your responses in one time also, right? Okay, I hope you've been enjoying the session so far. Okay, there are a lot more questions to go, right? So let's have a look at this question now. Yes. Okay. Okay. Let's see what others say. Ash says D. Swagat says B. Pratik says B. Okay. Okay, so are these questions helpful for CAT? Kinjal, they are helpful in the sense that when you get these reasoning based questions in your RC passages, your reasoning should be strong in the first place, right? So if you pick up your past year papers, you will find critical reasoning based questions even in your RC passages. And we have got such questions like what has been the assumption of the author in para 2? What has been the assumption of the author of this passage in para 2? So yes, they are very relevant for your CAT also, but they'll not be asked in this direct form. Okay, They are usually not asked in this direct form. Okay. So they are relevant for all your non-CAT exams. In NMAT they are asked. In let's say your SNAP they are asked. In of course MHCT, CMAT. In all these exams if they are asked, right? So B, C, D. Okay, okay. Primarily, okay. Quite a few of you say C. Then a good number says B also. All right. I have got how many D's? Two, three D's. Okay, sorry. No, two D's. Vineet has answered multiple times. Okay. So let's look at C first. First of all, is this about India or is this about Indian companies? I am not saying that there cannot be an overlap, but let's be clear in the first place that the statement is about Indian companies. Okay, now let's proceed. Indian companies no longer have to depend on imports of solar cells from China and other countries. From this, I can definitely understand this that probably earlier it depended on imports of solar cells from China and other countries. That much is clear to me that earlier Indian companies depended on imports of solar cells from China and other countries. Now, assumption one. Does this person who has made this statement necessarily think that there is a requirement for solar cells in India? There is a requirement for solar cells in India. Is present tense. There may not simply be a requirement. Maybe we have found some other alternative renewable resource to power the cells from. Yes. So there is a requirement for solar cells in India. That is not a necessary belief of the person making this statement. Plus, we are talking about again Indian companies and not India. We're talking about Indian companies and not India. The Indian companies, in the case of assumption one, they could be located somewhere else also, no? Do they have to be necessarily in India? No. So, assumption one, not implicit. Coming to two, there are solar cell manufacturers in India. There are solar cell manufacturers in India. Again, the same reason for which I have rejected one. It's quite possible that there aren't solar cell manufacturers in India, but we don't need them any longer. But we don't need the solar cell manufacturers as we have found some alternative source of energy. Right? And that's why even this is not necessary. It's likely but not necessary. I would even go to the extent of saying it's highly likely, but it's still not necessary. Right? And that is why both are not implicit. Neither. D should be the answer here. Good. Ash, I think, mentioned D in the first place. Vineet then mentioned D. Very good. Indian companies represent India. Now, that's a tricky statement to make. Why? Because, see, Indian companies are simply those companies that have been incorporated in India. They may not really be operating in India, right? So, whether they are just because a company is incorporated in India does not mean that it has its operations also in India. So it's quite possible that there is a requirement for solar cells. Let's say I'm saying that it is possible. There's a requirement for solar cells by these Indian companies, but the requirement happens to be in the US, which happens to be their primary area of operation. Right? So I cannot assume this again that Indian companies mean India, that they are interchangeable. Okay. Now, Ashish is saying since Indian companies must contribute to the country's overall demand, one should be correct. So, Ashish, even if I take this logic to be true, what about the reason that there may not simply be a requirement for solar energy, solar cells at all? Yes, tell me. I'm not going out of scope here. I'm sticking to the statement. I'm saying that Indian companies को अब depend करने की जरूरत नहीं है imports of solar cells from China and other countries से. So क्या possibilities हैं? या तो हम खुद independent हो गए. Either Indian companies are now self-sufficient. Indian companies are self-sufficient in making these solar cells. Right? That's a possibility. Because of which I'm saying this, it's a possibility. Another possibility is that solar cells are not required at all now. Hmm. सोलर सेल्स की अब रिक्वायरमेंट ही नहीं है, ये भी तो एक पॉसिबिलिटी है ना, मे बी न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी से हमने काम चला लिया, मे बी सम अदर ऑल्टरनेटिव सोर्स. So if as long as this exists as a possibility, I can't say that the person has necessarily assumed these two. You get it? So I am not going out of the range of this statement. I am just relying, I'm just seeing, okay, why has this person made this statement? While you are thinking of just this possibility, I am saying that this could also be a possibility, a reason why this person has made this statement. Okay. So that's why these are answered. Neither of the assumptions is correct. I knew that there would be a debate in this question. Okay, I even thought of tweaking it a bit, but then I let it be like this. Okay, because it's important that we understand such controversial questions, because the other questions we will be able to do. It's in such questions that we'll be stuck, right? Okay. If no such require, so to highlight this, that see, because we have already discovered, now we have sufficient reserves of this, or now we have a way to tap this alternative source of energy. Now we no longer need to depend on imports from China and other countries. हम खुद डिपेंडेंट हो गए हैं अपना उस अल्टरनेटिव सोर्स से अपना सेल्फ पावर करने के लिए. That's why this statement has been made. Okay, Ayush and Neenat, I'm just trying to highlight that, okay, let's say discovering nuclear energy or discovering this alternative source has actually eliminated my dependence on China and other countries. Because earlier they are using depend, Ashish, because earlier this was required and that's why we had to depend. Earlier these solar cells were required. Earlier, let's say, we did not have any source of manufacturing them within our country, and that is why we had to depend on other countries. Okay, that is why depend has been used. All right. I hope this makes sense. Just think about it. Okay, just withdraw from the question for a while, right? And then think about this later. Think about these two possible reasons, and probably you'll be able to get a hang of this. Okay, question 7. Yes. Let's see. To keep away dirt and germs, people should wash their hands with good quality soaps and sanitizers. What do you say? Okay. Similar to the second assumption. Kinjal, one of my possible reasons was similar to the second assumption. But the other possible, think of the other possibility ना. चाहिए ही नहीं अब solar cells. Solar cells के बजाय कुछ और technology आ गई. Think of that other possible reason, that other possibility. Okay, A, all right. Only assumption 1 is implicit. Very good. A is the answer here. Second is not implicit because nothing about poor quality soaps has been stated. Okay. And no such comparison between poor quality and good quality soaps has been made here. Right. Good. Only one is implicit. Right. Okay. Let's have a look at 8th. One more controversial question is going to come your way. Okay. So again, we'll discuss it. Don't worry. Look at question 8. Okay. A, none, neither, neither, okay, none, D. All right. The options are these only. The options remain these only, A, B, C, D, E. I think I forgot to copy them here. Okay. So C is both, D is neither, and A is only one, only two. These are your options. Okay, this is either. So based on this, the answers that I've got, mostly none, right? Whoa, okay, can you tell us about the word whoa? Ashish, whoa is an exclamation, an interjection. Whoa, you use, when you are indicating surprise, wonder, that's when you say whoa. Okay, all right. Uh, non-classical dancers not discussed. Then they may not get lured by the attractive offers unless they specify the offer. So in that case, this is actually countering the statement. It's in a way highlighting a flaw with the statement. Assumptions never highlight a flaw in the statement. Assumptions are meant to support the statement, right? So good. Neither is implicit, right? Good. All right. Now, look at this. Again, the options are the same, right? Tell me what the answer should be. Okay. Okay. Kinjal says both. Ayush and Sneha say A. Neenat says both again. Ash says D, which is neither. Neenat says B. I've got A, B, C, D, everything. Okay. So this is the question that I was talking to you about. Now, a daily dose of vitamins and zinc supplements can protect one against diseases. Okay. Does this look like an advertisement to you? Okay. Does this look like a suggestion? Is it in the nature of a suggestion, an advertisement, an advice? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Wait. This one should have been vitamin and zinc supplements. Vitamin and zinc supplements build immunity. That would be a much better assumption to give you. Yeah. Vitamin and zinc supplements build immunity against diseases, right? So let's evaluate them. Assumption one, I think a lot of you said that A is implicit, right? Sanvi, the wish sailor, Sipa. No matter what the answer, that means you believe that one is implicit, right? But this is it just seems to be a scientific fact. It just seems to be a fact that someone has really given out that, okay, a daily dose of vitamins and zinc supplements can protect one against diseases. Now, whether people want to be safe from these diseases or not, is that implicit in this statement? Whether people want this or not. Tell me. If I say running daily can keep one fit. Running daily can keep one fit. Now, from this, is this assumption implicit that people want to be fit? People want, don't apply your external knowledge here, okay? Don't think that yes, generally this is the case. No, just think of this statement. I'm saying that running daily can keep one fit. Does it say anything about people's desire to be fit or not? If I say that daily exposure to high levels of carbon dioxide can cause, let's say, asthma, can cause asthma. So then can you, from this, is this assumption implicit that people want to have asthma? No, right? So this is also not implicit. People's desire has nothing to do with this statement that has been given to you. It's not an advertisement. It's not a suggestion that you are giving to people, okay, or you're giving out to an audience. So Not implicit. This is an important one, and because of this, I have included this question. Now, assumption 2. Vitamin and zinc supplements build immunity against diseases. Is this implicit? One of a couple of you have talked about B being implicit, right? So, vitamin and zinc supplements build immunity. Build immunity. This is problematic here. Maybe they don't build immunity. They don't really build immunity against this disease. It just probably minimizes the symptoms, okay, or let's say decreases. Basically, it's not building immunity is a big thing, right? It's something that you have vaccines for, not really supplements, right? So building immunity is not something that is implicit from just the statement that they can protect one against disease, right? Again, external to my statement, right? And that is why neither is the answer here. D, Delhi. Okay, building immunity is not necessary here. Okay, just because I'm saying it can protect you against diseases, that does not mean it will build immunity against it. Okay, so A is not the answer. Okay, if it were the answer, I would not. Why would I see? Why would I include 3 questions of the same type in the sheet? We have seen one question about advertisement. We've seen one about suggestion. If this were of the same nature, I would not really include this question. And this question, running daily can keep one fit and people want to be fit. This has come in one of your exams. Okay. This was asked in one of your exams and the correct answer was that one is not implicit here. Because this is just a fact that is being given to you. It does not have anything to do with people's desire. Okay, even if you say people do not want to be safe from diseases, this still remains true. लोग चाहे या नहीं चाहे ये तो सही, ये बात तो सही रहेगी, right? So this is not implicit. Okay, all right. Just so see, when we go for strong weak arguments, no, there I talk about one criterion that just because a lot of people say the same thing, that does not make it to be true. So if a lot of you agree that one is the answer, that does not make it more logical to be the answer, right? Because the fallacy here is that, let's say tomorrow, it's a fallacy of majority. Tomorrow a lot of people start saying that the sun rises in the west. That does not make it true, right? So a lot of people saying something does not make it a stronger argument. Now, coming to question 10. No, protect does not mean building immunity. A raincoat protects you from rain, right? Then let's say eating apples every day can protect you from diseases. Does it build immunity against those diseases? Not at all. Wearing masks can protect you against COVID-19. Does it build immunity against COVID-19? Not at all. Very good, Ashish. Okay. Question 10. Easy question. B. Okay. Both. B is only 2. B is only 2. C is both. A is only 1. D is neither. Okay. And our last one is either. Okay. Okay. Absolutely correct. Both are implicit here. Okay. If I think that they will not damage books, why would I give out this warning in the first place? Right? If I do not think that the fine would deter people, then I will not impose the fine. I'll explore some other alternative, right? So, absolutely correct. Both are implicit here. So, see, while most of these questions, if you look at them, they are pretty doable and understandable. Okay, they are pretty intuitive also. There are going to be a couple of questions which will make you think, and that is why looking at each and every word, looking at the intent of the statement is very, very important. Right? What is the statement talking about? Is it talking about India? Is it talking about Indian companies? And that was also secondary here. The primary thing was that what is the possible reason behind saying that we no longer have to depend on China and other countries? There can be multiple possible reasons and not just the fact that we have become self-sufficient. Probably we don't require it any longer. इसलिए depend भी नहीं करना पड़ता, right? So that's why That was not the answer there. And yes, anything that is not discussed in the statement cannot be an implicit assumption, right? Assumptions have to be related, assumptions have to support the statement. I hope it gives you a better picture of how to attempt assumption questions, gives you some clarity on it. So these were the questions for today. I'll see you tomorrow again, right? We'll again discuss some aspect of MA and CET. So this is a comprehensive CAT program that we offer. I think I have told you about this earlier as well. A lot of material, practice material, expert guidance, recorded lectures, and live lectures both, right? And if you want to stay connected, you can actually join this Telegram channel. I had earlier shared this on this Telegram channel, the singular plural of various nouns. You had asked me to share it from Ren and Martin. I had shared it there, right? And yes, I'll see you next time. Either or. Assumption is something that is necessary for the statement to hold true. Correct, correct. Either or, I'll bring an example. Actually, such examples are very rare to find, okay? Because it has to be an exhaustive scenario in that case. Exhaustive means that there should be just two possible reasons for something to happen and no other reason, right? So I will find this. I think we'll find this in science. In the case of some scientific scenario, I'll find such assumption, right? Welcome, welcome all of you. Yes, Ayush, I'm waiting. Tell me. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome all of you. Tomorrow we'll look at statement conclusions. Okay. All right then. Ayush, are you saying something? Okay. Sanctimonious person. How can I become an altruistic person? Right. So how are the two related? First of all, tell me. Sanctimonious and altruism. How are they related? Sanctimonious. What is sanctity? If somebody is sanctimonious, is that a good trait or is that a bad trait? First of all. So, sanctimonious, when you are very self-righteous, when you believe, when you always feel that you are better than others, that is when you're sanctimonious. Altruistic is charitable, when you love your fellow human beings, want to do something for their betterment. So they are not exactly related ideas, but I understand what you're trying to say. That a lot of times we feel that we are correct, right? So that I am correct, the other person is not. However, the world of language teaches you this, that sometimes there is no one correct answer. It all depends on perspective. So I think the one way to become more open, more humble here, as opposed to sanctimonious, is that you realize that everybody acts, everybody answers from their own perspective, from their own points of view. All of us are shaped by our experiences. Ayush, if let's say if today you know the answer to something, let's say you are very good at something, that's also a product of a lot of things that happened to you that you had no role in. For instance, the family that you were born in, the circumstances that shaped you, the kind of, let's say, education that you got. So all of us are a product of that, and that's why we should never feel boastful about such things, right? Because we are fortunate in a lot of respects, and those things have also shaped us apart from our hard work. ठीक है? So when you actually think of it in this way, it grounds you automatically. It helps you see other people's perspectives, right? Okay. Uh, welcome, welcome. Tomorrow is statement conclusion. Philanthropist is, yes, it's a synonym of altruist. Correct, correct. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.